I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
Welcome. We're the Rambling Reviewers.
And today we're looking at Avatar 2, The Way of Water.
And we're doing this on December 31st, 2022.
It's been a wild, almost 3 years since the pandemic started,
Yeah. It's been a wild decade since the pandemic started.
It's been a wild decade, is a good way to put it. Frickety frick. But thankfully there's no pandemic on Pandora. It's a transition. Yay.
Oh, darn it. I was thinking we'd share what we've been doing this year and then...
Oh, what have we been doing this year?
Well...
like, in terms of pandemic-wise or just everything else?
In terms of what we've been up to the last year. It's December 31st. Time to celebrate, man.
Yeah. Well, we survived.
Okay.
That was good. I'm glad to keep up the streak.
Well, I moved into an apartment in, I'm not going to say where, but I moved out of my parents' house and into an apartment.
Congratulations.
I've been keeping the place semi-clean, and I've managed to not die so far.
Yeah, you're full-time employed, too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, work at a hospital now, which if I have to say anything, anytime someone brings up the sexy nurse outfit and idea, it is completely ruined for me now because I'm like, wait, you want to do what in a hospital? Oh my god, no! Have you seen what happens in those beds? People are horrible and disgusting.
Oh my god. Okay, put that on the brochure for when you're hiring new people.
Caution, will ruin the nurse fantasy for you.
Yep.
So, what have you been up to?
Well, surviving, helping out kids at my job as best I can. Done a little bit of writing, some fanfic stuff. I'm actually, don't know this one yet. I am going to be on the leadership team for Ponyville Cider Fest next year. They're doing an interactive fiction thing.
Oh, wait, yeah, you told me this.
Okay, good. Forgot I told you that then.
Oh, congratulations. Still, congratulations.
Yay. So that's cool. Yeah, I hope to get... whatever, that'll be cool. I hope to get other things accomplished. There's still stressors in my family and complex situations that I'm not going to get into. But let's hope that life stabilizes and finances stabilize and things stabilize eventually. That'd be great.
Yeah, and if we could do that in general, that would be great. I joined a roleplay group. It's part of the Get Brocked Outlands universe. You can look them up on YouTube. Just look up Outlands and Get Brocked. I also got a new computer, which I plan to use to play Space Engineers. But overall, I think personally, it's been a year.
Okay.
But
it's been a year.
It's been a year.
It might have been easier on you than on me overall, considering our reports.
That's entirely possible. But honestly, I feel pretty good about this year. And I'm really hoping that we can all be better for next year.
Yeah.
Of course, it's the year before an election year, so we're all boned.
well, hey, the election this year went better than a lot of us feared.
Yeah.
Yay, democracy. Keep on hanging in there, man.
Oh, God. Can we move to England where their democracy is not insane? Actually, no, it isn't.
There's some problems in England, too, these days.
Okay, fine. But, at least when they have the man from the Raving Loony Monster Party give his opinions in a town hall meeting and he's completely insane, you know he's not kidding.
Okay.
Or, he is kidding.
Alright, I see.
But, he's not serious about his shit.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you'd still vote for him because at least he's honest when he says he plans to drill until he hits buttercream.
That'll be the way. Bill Gates was just saying that he can't remember a time as tumultuous as this since the 1960s. I was like, oh, really? All right. Well, this is what the 60s feel like, apparently. Yeah. But with more pandemic and less bell-bottoms.
Yeah, which is a downside.
You gotta bring back bell-bottoms.
Yeah,
that's today's message. No, I have no idea.
The message of Avatar, The Way of Water, bring back bell-bottoms. James Cameron, very twisted genius.
Yep.
But, okay, we rambled about ourselves a bit, but now we're going to ramble about Avatar, The Way of Water, and...
all of its problems, damn it! We waited 11 years or something for this. 13 years. I
This
think.
movie, it feels like it should have. It feels like The Last Airbender in a way. It feels like there's a lot of things that were shoved in here when they should have been expanded out into a full series.
Right, you're comparing the movie to the series. I mean, yeah.
Which is a problem.
You know, it didn't make me laugh as much as the movie, though.
Okay.
He was bending tiny stones at us. I was like, oh my god, this is hilarious, terrible.
Okay, yes. But this, honestly, the movie, when it was good, was good.
The Avatar movie? Wait, sorry. The Last Airbender?
Oh, God, no. Nothing about that was... Nothing.
There was the one scene where they were describing the Agni Kai was actually like, this is kind of a good scene in the midst of a terrible movie.
Yeah, okay. I agree on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, The Way of Water, it's like it was made of a bunch of different films.
Yeah.
And some of them were good when they were there, but then you're switching over to like a bunch of different films that...
It was incoherent, is our main criticism. And it felt long by the end.
Okay, well, granted, we got in there at... Okay, we left here at... When did we leave?
Well, the show was at 5:10, if that's what you want to get to.
Okay, the show was at 5:10.
Or rather, the scheduled time. Then there was all the previews.
Yeah, and...
One of which was a preview for Avatar 2, The Way of Water. And I was like, you guys, I am already watching this movie. And
you have my money!
I had to close my eyes to like not get spoiled at the very last second. Like,
dude, it's an ad for Avatar. What are they gonna do? Show you every plot point? No, they're gonna show you the beauty and natural wonder of Pandora. Oh no, I get to see what the water looks like. The horror. Okay, how long was this frickin' thing?
Apparently, it was like 3 hours, 12 minutes.
Yeah, see, that's
longer than Lord of the Rings movies. Oh, the theatrical versions, anyway.
Yeah, not the director's cuts. That's.
But I will sit through a director's cut Lord of the Rings and just love it the whole way through.
This
I got tired.
Look, this movie it's confused. Okay.
Yeah. I wonder if part of the problem is that they're trying to do like a 5-movie series, and we're like, we need to set up a bunch of plot points that will maybe pay off later, but shoving them in right here doesn't feel natural. You know, like he was thinking too far ahead somehow.
Yeah, okay. But it's...
Should we just start at the beginning?
I don't really think we have a choice.
Okay.
So, to start off with, Jake Sully, the protagonist from the last movie, got together with Neytiri, again, during the last movie, and they had a bunch of babies together.
Yeah, they got 3 natural-born kids and 1 adopted because she was born through the avatar of Sigourney Weaver that somehow had a child, and it's a big mystery how she had that, and it's not resolved in this movie because it's left for the sequels.
Okay, when we say Sigourney Weaver, we mean Sigourney Weaver's character from the first movie.
Yes, no, actual Sigourney Weaver showed up. And,
look, if you're telling... If you
Grace was her name, that's it, yeah.
Look, I'm just saying that if you wanted to instead replace, her character with, Eleanor Ripley, a.k.a. I am the one the monsters fear... I would be okay with that.
That would be cool.
Okay, but yeah, so the Avatar somehow mysteriously got pregnant.
I mean, basically it's a virgin birth thing, right? Like, clearly the father was AWA somehow.
Yeah, which means only one thing. Soon Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi are going to come to this planet, take her away because she's the chosen one.
Yay! That'd be a weird
yeah, which... is really weird because all the science gear is still working on the planet, so why couldn't they just take a DNA sample and be like, all right, which one of you fucked it up? Fucked it up. Fuck. No, but okay, seriously. They need to know who fucked the Avatar. This is basically raping a brain dead person. It's icky.
It is icky. It is.
And I screwed up in saying it, but okay, you know what? It's still icky and it's wrong and it's illegal, or at least it should be illegal.
Right. So let's imagine they did DNA tests and they couldn't find a match anywhere, hence virgin birth.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense, because there's.
To be fair,
there's only been like 2,000 humans on this planet so far.
To be fair, it is possible that her avatar body got pregnant before Grace died, and then the pregnancy just continued, on its own pace.
Okay,
so there was no rape. I think that was the theory they were working with. Like, oh, maybe it was that scientist guy.
Yeah,
Maybe
okay.
they willfully, consensually hooked up.
Yeah, okay, that's fine, but it's like,
I have no idea how long a Na'vi pregnancy lasts anyway. So
yeah. So
point is
that
they have
this
a
is
lovely
weird.
family with one adoptive child, and that's fine too. And we don't know where the heck she came from. That's fine. What the rest of the plot gets to, though, is that after a number of years, the humans return.
which basically everyone and their mother predicted back when Avatar 1, the first Avatar film came out. They were saying, why don't the humans just come back and in much greater numbers? You know, like sand people.
Yeah. They
Fortunately,
should.
they do not come honking and hooting and waving their gaffy sticks up in the air. But honestly, after hearing the Na'vi, honk and hoot the whole movie, I would have preferred that. Because at least it would have been consistent from the soundtrack point of view. And if I sound like I'm irritated by the soundtrack of the movie, that's only because, and here's a shout out to the very first review we ever did, this was at the same movie theater that we watched Man of Steel
That's
at.
right.
Which was so loud, I could see the ceiling tiles flex. And it sounded like they tuned it down just a little bit from that.
Yeah, I did find myself kind of plugging an ear now and then, like during the final action scenes. Like, okay, it's
And given that a lot of Neytiri's dialogue is shrieking incoherently, and I'm actually not kidding about the fact that she's shrieking incoherently. It's like war cries and shit, or talking to her Ikran, or mourning.
Yeah, which was meant to be much more emotionally impactful than it was because the thing is incoherent, which we're getting around to. So
Just like this review.
Just like this here. So part of the thing we gotta note is that there were cracks in the foundation of the story of the first Avatar that we all kind of ignore because this is such a big leap forward. Pandora was a new place. It looks so beautiful. There's a lot to love.
Yeah, and you got caught up in the moment, and there was fridge logic, sure, but there was a reason why you didn't get that fridge logic until after the movie. It sucked you in.
Yeah. Part of the deal is, as everyone says, the original Avatar is Dances with Wolves in Space.
Except better.
except-
Because I mentioned this to
Yeah,
Sonic.
yeah.
In my film class, I had to watch Dances with Wolves, the director's cut. And I fucking hate watching prairies now because that's all that fucking movie was. It was 4.5 hours of fucking prairies.
Yeah. Point, though, is that... What was I going to say? Because Dances with Wolves is telling the tale of, Indians being pushed off their land and so on. And at that time period in real life, you could have a viable conflict between Indians and Western settlers.
Mm-hmm.
Guns were really the better than bows in most respects.
Yeah, we didn't invent like the assault rifle yet.
Right. So to make it work in space, they had to be like, okay, so yeah, you've got spaceships and assault rifles, but the natives are extremely strong and tall and have all these advantages and stuff to sort of balance it out, which worked well enough until you realize that orbital bombardment should still be an option for a spacefaring race, and that
Yeah.
should just wipe out the Na'vi immediately.
And then you can just go down and, pick up the...
Pick up the unobtainium, it's right there.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so...
Or how about some... Look, these guys are morally bankrupt. Just drop Agent Orange all over the place.
Yeah. you think they would, so...
Yeah, I mean, and before you say, oh, that's morally and ethically irresponsible. They're trying to kill the native population of a planet so they can strip mine the place. They are not above this shit.
Right. You could have just engineered the story so they didn't have those advantages. The humans came on a big old colony ship that crash landed. And we have no spacefaring ability right now until the next colony ship shows up 50 years from now.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, it's more of an equal, status of battle.
Right, but that's baked into the premise of the first one.
Yeah. But the point I was eventually getting to, though, is that these cracks in the foundation show up even more once you've explored it. Like, we're in the second movie now, and we've had time enough to develop fridge logic, and it gets fridgier.
Because now there's a fleet that comes from Earth in such numbers that it creates a new star in the sky of Pandora, and then as they drop the deployment ships from sky cranes, which I have to admit looks amazing because I love sky cranes, but the thrusters from those things create massive areas of firestorms that just destroy everything around them. So why don't you just land one of those, like, on the Na'vi capital or whatever? Or
Yeah, on the Hallelujah Mountains where Jake is originally hiding
yeah, and then,
out.
like, the Nerve Central tree.
Right. Yeah, that thing. Whatever it was called. And
Yeah.
like you could just nuke everything easily. And in the first movie, this was a little easier because it was that business guy was like had a little bit of a conscience. Was kind of reluctant to kill all the Na'vi. I'll use gas instead of kill. I'll minimize casualties among the indigenous. Remember that line?
Yeah.
We don't have that business guy with a little bit of conscience anymore in the story, or in any kind of leadership position anyway. We have this female general who I believe said something about just like, yep, just wipe out the Na'vi. Like, I don't give a damn. And you're like, well, in that case, just use the fiery firemajigs.
Oh, no, okay, no, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
But I will comment on this because it does present problems with the narrative. Okay, so Jake takes up his guns again, and he's like, well, okay, now let's launch raids against the humans and their hover trains and shit. And it's working, apparently.
Yeah, the military's all annoyed, but their base is, like, completely impregnable, though, so... You know, Dances with Wolves played with, like, the tragedy of, like, the Indians are totally going to lose in the long run.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think Avatar wants to go there, even though, like, logically, that's totally what's happening right here.
Yeah. But then we see a bunch of avatars in space, and they're, like, fighting and stuff, because it turns out... And here's where the plot breaks down.
Yeah.
Almost completely, it breaks down. The bad guy from the first movie, Colonel Quarch, turns out that they made a backup of his brain 2 hours before the final battle. So, okay, right there, that is the basis for an entire story.
That just alters the entire nature of the world.
Yeah, you can back up people's brains. You have functional immortality.
Right? Like, nothing is a problem anymore.
Yeah, just
back up everybody's brains. Like, they mentioned that Earth is dying, and, like, that sucks. But nobody has to really die with the Earth, because you can just back up all their brains and wait till, like, conditions improve, I guess.
Yeah,
and just rebuild them in avatar bodies, or for all I know, human bodies.
Yeah, or why limit yourself to avatar or human? Build robot bodies.
Yeah.
Hell, make the Cybermen. Maybe this is the origin of the Cybermen.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
But
that's probably fine.
Okay, so let's just ignore the fact that you have casually created immortality and
used it on freaking Quartz. Let's point this out, because if he were like the God Emperor of mankind, and like, okay, it's extremely hard to do this, but we managed it for you because you're so important, then it doesn't break the world as much. It's like, it can't be done. But you bring back some colonel in the Marines
who lost,
by the way. Like, you just casually made the backup of that guy and 6 other people.
Yeah. Oh, and not just that, but they put him inside of a genetically engineered body that is a hybrid between an alien species and humanity. You can make these bodies anything you want. You can make them breathe water and put them at the bottom of the fucking ocean. You have solved a lot of the world's housing problem. Oh no, we're running out of land to build stuff in. There's the ocean! The problem is that they introduced these 2 technologies, and all of a sudden, this strange credulity why they have problems in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and they only did it, like, it sucks when you can see the writers pulling the strings, in a way.
Yeah.
You're like, look, they couldn't think of a better villain. They had to bring back Quartz, whatever the frick his name is.
He was popular back then, but that was just because the Na'vi were so obviously a perfect race that they rooted for the humans.
Right, and it's not hard to make a new villain. You could make a new villain who is like Quartz's brother and wants revenge on Quartz. And then we don't need to break the lore of the rest of the universe.
Well, it's not even breaking the lore. It's breaking common sense.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant.
Breaking the lore. Okay,
It's not contradicting earlier lore so much as it is changing the situation in which everyone lives now. And logically, the story should radically be altered also.
Yeah. Okay, so they bring him to life and stuff, and he's watching a video from his past self saying, if you've seen this, then I'm dead, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then they go down, and they meet the Marine captain lady.
Yeah, General, I guess.
General, who's wearing some neat power armor, which I do like.
Yeah.
But she says, we're not mining anymore. Which, one, wasn't the fact that unobtainium is perfect for making interstellar starships, like, one of the reasons why you were here in the first place?
Right.
Like, the fact that it was going to cause a massive fucking problem if you ran out of unobtainium in the first movie. The reason why they were willing to go to war with the natives in order to get their hands on it. Because it was so fucking important, it would basically doom the human race if they didn't get their hands on it. But we're not doing that anymore.
Which, again, by the way, is another problem with the first movie. Because if the human race is in dire straits, you can humanize your villains that way.
Mm-hmm.
And give Jake, some conflicted feelings about it. And they didn't do all that.
Okay. So, they're not doing that anymore. But the reason they're here is actually worse. Because Earth is dying... So we're turning Pandora into the new homeworld.
Which, you could do a plot with that.
Yeah.
You can do that plot, but then you make that part of the plot and not a throwaway line.
Yeah. They're building a city here using spider drones that can build an entire city in hours, which is just another casual world-redefining technology.
Yeah, I mean, she technically said a building in 6 days, but still, that's super hella fast.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a sixth of the speed that you'd need in order to build Rome, but,
Yeah. New Rome was built in a day.
Yeah.
We overclocked the robots.
But, okay, so already, I think you're starting to get where our problem is. Anytime the humans are brought into this, the story breaks down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And it's not like in little ways. These are ways that would radically shift everything.
Right, and aren't there boatloads of colonists coming over who could reside in these houses, and do we care about them? Does Jake feel bad about his previous species, like their planet is dying and shit? You could have him feel bad, or you could have him be all resentful and then learn to have more of a heart by the end. Not all humans are like the bastards that I spent my time with because I was in the military with Quartz and he was a bastard. And all.
Well, anyways,
character development, but they didn't do any of that.
Okay, what you should focus on if you want the ideal Avatar Way of Water viewing experience is focus on the Jake Sully plot, even though that actively hurts the story in the long run with the humans. So Jake realizes that, hey, Colonel Quartz had an encounter with his kids.
Well, yeah, so first off, Quartz is sent up to the Hallelujah Mountains to sneak in because they can't send aircraft because they'll get swarmed by banshees. But, native, Na'vi, whatever, avatar bodies, don't trigger response from the wildlife.
Which is bullshit, because that was the reason that the Avatar bodies were carrying machine guns in the first movie.
Right, Jake was chased around by that crazy panther thing in the first movie as an Avatar. But now it's all don't worry, the wildlife won't attack Avatars. Yes, they fucking will. I saw the first film.
That was how Neytiri and Jake first met.
Right. So anyway, I guess they'll attack less is the idea, but we're showing a shot of, some animals being okay, we'll just leave you alone. But that's not, I thought, okay, whatever. Anyway, so they're sneaking up, and they encounter Quartz's old corpse. And that's cool and all. And Jake's kids happen to be there.
Yeah, coincidence.
Quite a coincidence, yeah, but okay.
That they happen to be in the one place their dad told them to never ever go at the exact same time that the major villain, who is a mental clone, using brain uploading technology. I cannot stress this enough, how much this... Okay.
So he and his squad nab the kids, and, they've already radioed in for help. So Jake and Neytiri show up and rescue everybody except this kid, Spider.
Spider was a human kid who was apparently born on Pandora, but nobody says who his dad is, even though it's fairly obvious that his dad was the human Quartz.
Yeah. We're going to mess it up every time. Just get used to it. So, okay, Spider, like, is one of these, again, plot elements that you could do interesting things with. He spends 90% of the movie doing nothing. And it really got annoying that he was a plot element when nothing was coming of him. He gets captured. He's friends with Jake's kids. He's almost like another kid in the family.
Yeah.
And he gets captured, and okay, so Jake has 4 kids: older brother, younger brother, Vision Girl, who is also Sigourney Weaver, and little girl.
Yeah,
we're just gonna call them that. So
because we cannot tell. Okay, Kiri is the Vision Girl.
That's right. Yeah.
But the rest of them, I could not tell. I'm very sorry. I have a hard time telling people's faces apart normally. And when everyone is like a blue person, I really, really have a hard time telling people apart. Particularly when they have thick accents and I can't tell what the fuck their names are.
Yes.
Yes, I'm white. I'm sorry.
No, it's we're bad with all sorts of names, even when that aren't blue people. It's just not a thing we're good at.
Yeah, no,
okay,
we're not.
So, point is, like, they're friends with Spider. Kiri, in particular, is friends with him. And there's a bit where she's like, no, we have to go save him. And Neytiri's like, no, like, just let's flee. Where it was previously mentioned that Neytiri didn't entirely accept Spider as a member of the family.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, so here's the conflict. Is the kids are going to want to go and save Spider, but Neytiri is kind of racist and doesn't want to. And
especially
then Jake is
given who his dad is.
Especially given who his dad is. So, and then Jake is going to feel conflicted at that same point. And also, like, it would be really hard to get Spider. He's in the human city. How can we deal with that? It's heavily guarded. And it gets dropped, actually.
Like, almost immediately.
Yeah, it's... so they go home, and they're like, all right, well, obviously the only thing we can do is flee the country. And leave the forest.
Which makes the plot hurt in several ways, really.
Several ways.
Because the reason they're doing this is because it's made obvious that, Quartz is going to come and he's going to chase Jake. And he's not going to stop at hurting the family to get to him. So... And the reason he's chasing Jake is because Jake is the one who's responsible for all the raids on the human settlement and on the trains and the supply lines and shit. But here's the problem with that. Once Jake leaves, there's no reason for... There's either A, no reason to continue pursuing Jake because he's not here anymore and thus not a problem. Or Jake is just abandoning the rest of his tribe to get wiped out by the humans... once they realize, hey, their super uber tactician is gone.
Yeah, and they bring it up, kinda, with Neytiri's like, we have to defend the people. And he's like, this will defend the people. And seems to think that the military is, like, just got a lock on him and won't kill other Na'vi.
Which is weird,
We can't just send a separate squadron to kill off all your friends while the other squadron comes to find you. Jake.
Which, given the first movie, is really stupid, given that they were like, we want to blow up all the Na'vi because they keep getting in our way.
Right. None of this makes any sense. And it ruins the foundation of what's supposed to be very emotional and powerful moments the rest of the film. Because we've already piled up this many problems in the last half hour.
Yeah, we've... Okay, so... they leave, and they give, like, the keys to the tribe over to the other person.
Some other guy, yeah.
Yeah, and who kills Jake by lightly scratching him on his chest.
It's a ritual thing. That's fine by me. Whatever.
Okay, whatever. And then they leave to go live with the water tribe.
Yeah, the sea people.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, yay, we're living with the sea people now. Well, not really. There's some tension where they're like, oh, hi, we want to join your people because... we're running away.
Right, and he's like, oh, you can't, bring your war here. And he's like, I'm done with war. I'm going to say this because this has become a theme. Are the sea people the pacifist people or the warrior people? Because they toggle on and off throughout this goddamn movie.
Yeah, they do.
Like, you could make a thing in which these people are pacifists and... either A, they have to learn to embrace their warrior side by the climax because circumstances require it, or B, Jake is forced to take a more pacifistic approach than he would like to. right?
Of course, you could still have them be warriors, with them recognizing that, yeah, we're not going to last long against gunships and shit.
Yeah, you could.
So you're like, okay, yes, we want to die in glorious battle or whatever, but we'd like it to be somewhat fair.
Right.
And, we're kind of allergic to raining hellfire missiles.
It is reasonable for people to have that attitude. But, in terms of building up a narrative conflict to play out themes, to several, what sort of philosophy do we want to live by, right? Because that was kind of the idea of number one. So number one was sort of living with nature versus technology, perhaps. And this could be how do we feel about war versus peace? You know what I'm saying? Just kind of vaguely, I'm putting out ideas for you there. Because first of all, you can't bring your war here, and I feel okay, these are pacifist people, and later on, the whales we find out are all pacifists, to the extent that if a whale fights in self-defense, it's still a bad thing. The Na'vi, the sea people Na'vi are that's bad of you to fight in self-defense, whale. And then, when they are under attack, we need to fight in self-defense, and they're badass
okay, they were
about it.
saying the whale... In the whale's culture, it was bad to fight in self-defense.
Yeah, but they are applying the whale's culture as opposed to being we'll make an exception because we have a different culture. They revere these things. And then they want to go fight, and suddenly Jake's no, don't fight. But I thought Jake is the one who's originally a fighter, but I guess now he doesn't want to fight. But why he doesn't... He runs, and everything we just said, everything is weird.
So they join the tribe, and there's some tension at first, but honestly, this is the best section of the movie by far, even if it does drag a little bit.
I love, in theory, all this slice of life stuff, and learning the culture, and learning how to swim, and, one of the brothers has a thing for that one girl, and stuff. The trouble for me was that Quartz is hanging over all of this, and he's supposed to show up at some point, and he just kept not doing that for an hour. Yeah. And I was if you just want to tell a story with no villain in it, don't introduce a villain, and then just forget about him for so long.
Yeah, Quartz apparently tries to bond with Spider because Spider is Quartz's
son-ish.
Son of the original Quartz.
Yeah, that's close.
And they go back and forth about whether or not how Quartz views Spider as a son or not, and it's a little weird, and
it's weird on several levels because here you can feel the shoehorning happening again. The writers, which I mean James Cameron really, wanted to keep Spider in the story, but he had no reason to continue being in the story. They tried to probe his brain to find out where Jake is, which would be useless even if they successfully probed him because Jake has moved to a different location at this point.
Okay, and furthermore, why don't you just knock him out, do the brain scan thing on him, and then if you're able to record people's memories on a data chip, then just go through the data chip and find out where the fuck he is, because the data chip isn't actively resisting you.
That's a good point. Damn, I didn't thought of that. Okay, but then what happens is he resists the mind probe, because his resistance to the mind probe is considerable. It'll be some time before we can extract information from him. Anyway.
Jeez, what was that from?
That's episode 4, Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, damn
it. So then Quartz is
Which is also another thing that's weird, actually, because at one hand, the humans have really weird primitive technology. It seems kind of capable of ours. But then at the same time, they have shit that would make the Galactic Empire green with envy.
Yeah, that does happen in sci-fi a lot, though, granted.
Yeah, okay, I will grant you that.
How many spacefaring civilizations are still using guns for some reason?
But yeah, or you mean bullets, right?
Well, yeah, bullets, yeah.
Okay,
But, I remember someone working on Halo, in a commentary, said, by the time we're actually in the 2500s, you're not going to be shooting people. It's going to be you drink a glass of water and all your enemies die. For some stupid reason. It's just technology is going to be crazy by then. But anyway.
Okay, so...
Okay, so Quartz is all right, let me try the personal approach. And he interrogates his son-ish and says, look, I respect that you are very loyal to Jake and you're not going to give up his location. So, how about you ride along with me? For no adequately explained reason.
Okay, yeah, this was my big problem with the Spider plot line.
Right.
This is just going along with Quartz, even though Quartz is blatantly going to do harm to Jake and the Na'vi.
Not even is he going along with Quartz, but Quartz is going along with him, knowing that he's got every reason to backstab Quartz, but if he ever gets the chance. And in the meantime, he's dead weight. What does Spider contribute to your plot?
And don't say, oh, he knows the Na'vi language or how the Na'vi work. He didn't know that when he started dragging Spider along.
Yeah, and
he didn't know that until they were on the ground.
Right. Nor did language skills play any crucial role at any point. Like, if anything, it saved him 30 seconds when he was interrogating the sea people. But like Quartz knew it well enough that he could have stumbled through that conversation anyway. It would have taken slightly longer.
Yeah, okay, granted, he wouldn't have gotten the Ikran. But at the same...
What was the Ikran?
It was the flying thing. The flying dragon thing.
He could have. I mean, like, just follow them around until you freaking find out where they nest and some shit.
But no, they were where they were nesting.
What do you mean?
And,
yeah.
And then he said... Okay, they were going to tranquilize it and then try to do that.
But that could have worked.
Okay, that could have worked, but okay, that's not...
Not that he needed an Ikran anyway. This is another thing where it's
it made him look cool.
That was it, though. It's like, Cameron had to be like, wouldn't it be cool if Quartz was riding an Ikran? Let's come up with some reason for him to want to do that, even though he has access to regular flying machines.
Yeah, but I whispered to you during the movie, why do they keep using these things? They constantly explode and provide no protection from the arrows.
Yeah, true. But...
Okay, I will grant. Ikran also have no protection from 2 meter long arrows.
Right, and isn't Quartz's thing supposed to be that he hates the Na'vi? Does anyone remember this? And now he's all like, we're going to be like the Na'vi. We're going to eat Na'vi. We're going to talk Na'vi. We're going to think Na'vi.
Yeah, I got a question right there. When he says we're going to eat Na'vi, does that mean he's going to actually eat Na'vi?
I doubt it.
Okay. Look, I'm going to be honest here. The way some of these humans are portrayed, it would not surprise me.
You could have easily done a thing in which, if you're going to resurrect Quartz at all, which you shouldn't, but if you do, have him filled with self-hatred that he's in this damn Na'vi body, right? Have him this kind of more unhinged than he used to be because, like, he's got dysphoria, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, because Jake, when he transitioned to a Na'vi body, he did so by transitioning to their entire culture, their whole way of life. He's on board, like, body, mind, and soul, Mm-hmm. Quartz is the opposite of that, and he should really hate this shit, and it should drive him up the wall and be an interesting character point. And it doesn't. He's like, all right, cool. I guess I'm in a new body now. What the fuck? I don't care. And I was like, stop that. You're supposed to have feelings about things. And now I'm going to go ride an Ikran because, like, it seems cool and shit. And, like,
to be fair,
no.
To be absolutely fair, it was cool and shit.
Right. But come up with a plot. We were saying this. We talked earlier. I would have rather had a Quartz who goes AWOL. He's so obsessed with Jake as a personal matter that he takes his squad that's loyal to him, and they go off to find Jake, defying orders, right? And therefore he's cut off from a lot of normal sources of support, and maybe he's even like kicked out, even discharged.
Do some Rambo shit.
Do some Rambo shit. So then, like, okay, fine, I'm gonna come down to your level, and I'm gonna learn to ride an Ikran because I don't have access to battle tanks and whatever I would normally use.
Which don't work anyway, but
you know what I mean. Like he in theory he has a whole military at his back. He goes out there with 6 guys, and like
a couple guns.
It's just
okay. But it gets worse later on when he decides. This is a failure in the plot for multiple reasons, but he decides that instead of going with an actual military unit to go out on hunt Jake on the water because he knows due to...
Should we get to the... He okay, so Vision Girl, right?
Yeah.
Plugs into the local spirit tree.
Yeah, the local Wi-Fi access port.
Which brings me to another point about things that are repeated. Okay, so we have one of these. We had one of those in the last movie. It's like the same basic idea, right?
Yeah, which I can understand.
Right, but then also we had the scene of learning to ride, whatchamacallit, goes under the water, and falling off. I'm like, oh, this is like the horse scene from Avatar 1. And then we had little brother being chased by the giant shark thing. And, like, this feels like Jake getting chased by the panther thing in Avatar 1. It was just too many of these moments where I was like, I've seen this. But okay.
And then
So she plugs into the thing, and she has like a vision. She tries to ask Grace, like, "Who's my father?" And something happens to Grace. I guess something's wrong with AWA or whatever. We'll get to that in the next movie.
Yeah, looks like the local network needs debugging.
Yeah, apparently.
Look, honestly, that's how I best describe AWA, is that it's the local Wi-Fi network.
Right.
And it's just like, and anytime you're connecting with the tail thing, you're just plugging into the local node.
In a world where everything is USB compatible. Right? They were saying that 10 years ago.
But yeah, so they just move it.
She has a seizure, was the point. And then they do this plot point of like, oh, you can't let her hook up to the network again. She could have a seizure. She could die. We're doing this whole like technology versus spiritualism thing, or technology says don't do that, and spiritualism says yes, you should do that, and we don't explore it because we're waiting for next movie apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, they had to call out a med team to help them, which ends up giving Quartz the skills, the radar signal he needs.
The general area of where this is. And then he calls out the support that he needs. Naturally, he calls out the military who have, a naval assets or flying assets or an aircraft carrier. Except no, he doesn't do that. He calls out whalers.
On the moon.
They're
whalers on the moon.
They are literally whalers on the fucking moon.
They tell tall tales and sing a whaling tune.
No, they are literally whalers on the fucking moon of Pandora. And good God, at this point, I stopped trying to pretend like I was invested in this story. Because whalers are the go-to easy bad guy if you're wanting, to show that humans are bastards.
Yeah.
They even had a biologist who was like, oh yeah, well now that we've killed this whale, this whale is actually smarter. Whales are smarter than humans. They have much higher neural density, and the part of their brain that is responsible for emotion is bigger than you are. They have philosophy and art and culture and science and undersea battleships that could smite the human race. Okay, well, they didn't go that far, but I got the feeling that the guy was 2 seconds away from ripping off his clothes and trying to make love to this thing.
It was the weirdest fucking thing. They've already spent a lot of time humanizing these whales by that point, right? Little brother, makes friends with this one whale that apparently understands sign language and apparently can talk back to him. That was the weirder part.
Yeah, I don't know why he...
How does it talk back?
Yeah. And also, how does it have, one of those connector port thingies inside of its stomach? I thought those were used in, other things. How does it connect to anything? If it's inside its fucking stomach. Well, does it connect with its food? Hi, I'm the thing that's eating you.
Right.
Okay, but
so we're making friends with this whale, and we have this whole ritual. The rest of the whales are on a migration, but they come home, and they're personal friends with all the natives, and they're spirit sisters and stuff. And it's very clear that the whales are to be regarded as people in this movie. But then they have to go and do this whole extended whaling sequence, getting into just how difficult / brutal it is to kill one of these whales.
And don't worry, the whales never fight back, but it's really exciting to kill one. That is almost verbatim what they say.
Yeah. Then they're inside the whale and drilling into its brain.
Oh, and you're gonna love why they're hunting these whales. You would expect it to be for, their meat, or for their bones, or for big game hunters. No. It is because somewhere inside the whale's brain there is a bunch of goop, and this goop makes you immortal. It stops the aging process. You already have a way to be immortal, you morons!
Right!
You introduced it when you first introduced Quarch!
Yeah.
You can upload your brain into a meat puppet body. You can mass produce and 3D print your own private army of you. Control C, Control V, Control V. There, I have made you immortal, and I can put you in a. They even specifically say that the body that they put Quartz in is younger.
I thought that meant mentally younger, but yeah, no, obviously his body is physically more adept than the older body. And
Yeah. So
you're
you
right.
already have a way to be immortal. You don't need this whale goo. There is literally no reason to do this. You are just doing this because it makes humans look more like bastards.
Right, which gets me back to that goddamn biologist, because he is in there already excavating this thing's brain, and he says without any passion that they're smarter than us, they're better than us, they have art, they have music, they have culture, they have philosophy, they have mathematics. I'm like, God damn it, man, if you believe all of this, why are you in this goddamn job? Right? Mm-hmm. And if he's like, is meant to be, his conscience is torn, and he's like come to realize recently that this is wrong, then play it up as a guy who feels guilty and betrays the whalers during the fight and like helps out the Na'vi the way Jake betrayed his people.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
But he doesn't. It's like, it's actually just an author avatar. Like, James Cameron had to step in and be like, I want you to know that these whales should be regarded as people. Just so you know, in case you didn't pick it up by now.
And for the record, Mr. Cameron, anytime someone does this, I post another picture saying, nuke the whales. Because fuck whales. What have they done that's so great for us? This is the opposite of a good message show, because guess what? The people who agree don't like this, because guess what? These people are douchebags and we hate them and they look like idiots. So they don't help us. It's like when Family Guy tried to do a pro-gay message in their show and all the gay people hated it.
Oh boy.
And the people who are against this don't like this either because it's against what they're believing. And it's not like there's... Now, if there was a valid reason, like, I don't know, and even if this was like, oh, this is for our belief system. We believe that you need to kill a whale. Which, okay, fucking fine. There's like Inuit tribes that do this. That hunt whales.
Sure, but we're not talking about natives having beliefs.
Right! Exactly! So this doesn't work on any level. It doesn't work for we can get these resources from them. Oh, and worse, they're like, oh, this resource is paying for all the expedition.
So it's the new...
No! It's... The unobtainium was the reason you people came to Pandora in the first place.
So basically you invented a new unobtainium. This is fourth on my list of like, and now the same thing happened in the second movie. You could have just had unobtainium again, but like, no, there's another one.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, on the same planet.
Yeah, well, you need unobtainium in order to build a bigger fleet of ships to move the people from Earth to here, but no, you have to go for the immortality drug, which, as we explained, you do not need. You have a way to be immortal. This is not fucking Pokemon. You do not collect all the ways to become immortal. Or are you telling me RDA back on Earth has like the picture of Dorian Gray too, or like the Ring of Sauron, the Phoenix Tears, and the Philosopher's Stone, the Elixir of Life, a gold sarcophagus,
Fountain of Youth. Yeah. Okay.
3 more methods of immortality, and we get a free sundae. I'm sorry. I know I'm really upset about this, and I'm really passionate about this, but this is just a stupid fucking idea.
Right.
It's doubling up on an idea that you could have made an entire movie about.
Yeah.
It just... This destroys the lore of the world. Earlier, the thing where he said, "Oh, this is against the lore of the world." Okay, he misspoke there. Sonic misspoke. That adds to the lore. That added to the lore in a way that should change the plot. Fine. This is actually harmful to the lore.
Yeah, and then because we're not done yet. So in the mix here, Quaritch shows up in the Sea Village and interrogates the chief and his wife and everybody.
It's a different village than where everyone is.
That's right. But they're acting under... That was actually unclear to me, because the guy said that the chief we know was like, well, they will not reveal under my command. So apparently, like, they did know, whoever these people were. They just are being quiet on his command. Right?
Which is weird, because I honestly thought that they didn't know, because it's like, who the fuck would know this?
Yeah. I honestly thought that was the chief being interrogated, and he was just mentioning later, like, oh, yeah, also everyone else shut up too on my command. Yeah. Maybe I mixed it up. I don't know. Yeah. Point is, he interrogates somebody, and they're like, no, we don't know whether because they're honestly ignorant or they're lying. Either way. So he nearly kills one of them, but
doesn't. It's spiders.
Spider like begs him off, but then he still like shoots some of their animals and burns their houses and shit because he's just a bastard. The point is though, he says to like his fellow Marine, if we turn up the heat, Jake's just gonna run farther. We need to draw him out. And so the plot becomes we're going to fuck up the whales because Jake will come running to save them. Because apparently Jake won't come running to save all the Na'vi that he's already threatening to kill. Like, what makes you think Jake cares about whales more than Na'vi?
I don't care about whales more than Na'vi.
Yeah, I mean...
Okay, I will grant you that is... Yeah, no, that's not a good argument in that case, given that I just went on a huge rant.
But, like, why on earth would he think... And they do a whole big scene of this whaling thing. They spend so much time and energy on this action scene, like this is important, that we have captured or rather killed the whale, and left it as a message for Jake to draw him out. Like, you could have...
You left a corpse in the ocean. That's going to be gone in a week.
Well, that too. But, like... Yeah, you burning the villages wasn't enough, or you could have shot some people, or
how about you airdrop? How about you go over every village and you airdrop the skulls of the village that he abandoned to come to the water place?
Yeah, God, that'd be dark. Okay.
Yeah, but at least that would make sense and fit in with what he's trying to do, and it wouldn't just be like, now we will murder the whales!
For some reason, because...
You fully expect to hear thunder and lightning crashing behind him.
It's like he became a Captain Planet villain, didn't he?
Yeah, he became a Captain Planet villain.
God, okay.
And then it turns out that the whale they've next targeted is the one lone whale from...
Right, well, there's this conversation where we talked about earlier with, like, oh no, they're killing our whales, we must go to war. And Jake's like, no, don't go to war against these people that I successfully defeated in the first film. Sorry, what?
Yeah, why? Why? You won the last war. Okay,
right?
Sort of. I mean, yeah, they're here in more force, but okay, yeah.
But, like, no, right now they're here in less force. We're not going up against the city. We're going up against 6 Marines and a bunch of whalers.
Why? Why are the whalers going along with this?
Apparently they just got commandeered by the military government or something. But, like, you would think whalers are going to be less effective at self-defense than the Marines would be.
Yeah.
You took on Marines in the first movie.
Whales are not known to wield rocket launchers.
Right. No, very much not.
Or rifles. I want to see that movie. Whalers versus rifle-toting whales.
Like Free Willy's Revenge.
Free Willy. Yeah, Free Willy's Revenge. That was better than whatever I was going to say.
Okay. So I don't know why Jake is so insistent on standing down. If anything, you think he would just send his children far away while he goes and fights or something.
Which he does later in the movie once he's backed into a corner.
Which he's... Yeah, well, by the way, younger son, the only thing he ever does in this movie is get involved in shit when he was told not to.
And yeah, a lot of people get hurt because of it.
It just keeps happening, and you're like, this is kind of repetitive. But okay... So, they're threatening all the whales, and we ride out in... Well, no, they're threatening whales, and they threaten a new whale, and it just, coincidentally, again, all of the children are there with this whale that they randomly targeted.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all working to, like, take out the frick... There's a whole thing of, like, there's a tracker thing that jams into the whale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have to work really hard for a couple of minutes trying to pull it out. And, like, the whaling ship is in sight. And the whole time I'm thinking, they're just going to shoot him with another tracker, right? Like, they're right. They were already in range. They are now even more in range. They can shoot him with 10 trackers. There's no way this is going to work. But no, for some reason, they don't shoot a second tracker.
Yeah, or they don't have, sonar to see under the boats. To see,
right?
Oh, hey, there's a whale. Shoot a torpedo.
That's going to come up later, by the way.
And apparently these whalers are outfitted to invade fucking Atlantis.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if I mean like the mythical undersea kingdom or the actual ancient city from Stargate, because they're apparently well enough armed to do that too.
Yeah. So the kids all get captured
multiple times
again.
In this fight.
Yes.
No, seriously. They get captured like 3 different times in the course of the fight.
In addition to the first time at the beginning of the film. So they're just capture magnets in large part. But okay, so Jake rides out with everybody to save his kids / the whales. And then Quartz gets on the radio with him and says, hey, surrender yourself or I'll kill your kid right here on the deck.
You know I'll do it. And at this point, I actually don't know if you'll do it because you let all those other people alive.
Right. I mean, Grant, yeah, that is, Jake should think about that too. But okay, so Jake is all like, fine, I'll surrender myself. And then the other Marine has Jake in his scope. And Quartz is like, don't shoot him now. If we shoot him now, they'll attack. Which kind of makes some sense.
Okay, yes.
But then a whale comes up to beach itself on top of the deck. The rogue whale.
Uh-huh.
This is where the sonar comes back in again. Because as this was happening, I'm like, do the whalers not know that a giant fucking whale is approaching them right the fuck now?
Yeah, why do they not know what's going on? We have this... My uncle has this technology on his fishing boat to determine where bass are.
Yeah.
Bass! And mind you, this is not on a killer death world where everything is mega-sized and trying to murder you.
The idea that a whale could sneak up on them is just absurd. I know they want this heroic moment for the whale, but, how does any of this happen? You have a fully staffed whaling crew. I could understand if he had stolen the boat from the whalers, didn't know how the sonar worked, then maybe. But, no, the whalers are right there. They're standing at the control stations. Okay.
Do they not have sonar? Do they not have cameras under your fucking boat specifically designed to hunt things under the water?
So the whale rams into the boat or flops onto the boat and
starts kicking people's asses because apparently they don't know how to deal with a whale, despite being whalers and dealing with a literal beached whale. That is literally the definition of you are shooting fish in a barrel and somehow they fail.
Right.
Look, the worse you make this movie, the worse you make the bad guys look, the less good that the heroes look for losing to these idiots.
Yeah, okay, and then some reason Quaritch does not shoot the kids when, he's just been attacked, and for all he knows, Jake had planned this, right?
Okay, to be fair, there was a whale.
Yeah, but it's not hard to pull a trigger.
I would be distracted if a whale jumped on my boat.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying here, so I'm cutting him some slack here.
So then there's, the world's longest fight scene.
No, seriously, this lasted an hour. This
on.
climax went on, and then there's dark scenes where the Na'vi are trying to fight them in the dark, and oh god, this was just so bad.
Each individual bit was good. It just was dragged on, and
on.
it was also undermined by everything we just said. But if I had walked in to the action scene at the end, not having been already annoyed at everything that went wrong, I would have thought this is competent action scene, just too long.
Yes.
But okay, they have the world's longest action scene. They fight and they fight and they fight and they fight and they fight.
And they fight and they fight
and then it's dark because it's the eclipse, which is a midday darkness, which is okay, fine, whatever. There comes another moment though where the kids have been escaped, recaptured. I couldn't keep track of it, but they've been recaptured again. And Quartz gets on the phone again to say, "Okay, Jake, same deal as before. Surrender yourself, or I kill your daughter." Right? I think that the older son had died at this point.
Yeah, the older son had actually died at this point, which was kind of a little surprising, but honestly, he didn't do much in the story.
That was the thing. It didn't feel half as tragic as it's supposed to. The tear is going all out on the grief, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not on the same wavelength as the movie expects me to be right now.
Okay, I will admit, she did pull off the grief rather well.
No, yeah, the acting was great, but the storytelling that led up to it.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I was more distracted about the fact that this is a very, very loud scene where she's shrieking her heart out. And I repeat, this was the same theater we went to for Man of Steel that had the speakers turned up way too goddamn loud.
Yeah.
So it was Please be quiet.
Yeah. So he goes, same deal as last time. Surrender yourself.
Didn't this not work the last 3 times you tried it?
Yeah. And anytime, unless there's like a specific narrative reason to repeat things, don't. We already had this type of situation, this type of tension. Like, you could have just done one of these hostage scenes and not do it a second time. But he does it a second time. And this is where it gets to me, because I had to bring up that Marine with a sniper before, right? Mm-hmm. They do this again, where the guy sees him at a distance, like, okay, he's coming to us. Now, earlier, it was, we can't shoot him because otherwise the whole army will attack. At this stage of the story, the whole army has already attacked. There is no reason at all not to snipe out Jake Sully from the freaking island he happens to be on. There's nothing. You don't need anything from him. You need him to be dead.
And by the way,
just kill him.
And by the way, this is still all because Jake Sully was attacking some convoys and they wanted him to stop. And I remind you, because he went into hiding, he has been out of contact with everyone else for months. His raids have stopped. You've already accomplished your mission. None of this is necessary.
Yeah, there's another shoehorn moment. The writers needed or wanted the plot to get out of the forest. They have some reason to go off to the sea and find some new animals and stuff. So they had to contrive this idea of Jake running away but also being pursued unnecessarily. You could have had a whole thing with he's doing raids throughout the entire film and pissing off the military more and more until they're willing to target his kids or something, right? In theory, let's just justify all this involvement, or you make the personal revenge angle the main thing, and Quartz is going AWOL and stuff, which could be fine too. But okay, so he goes up and we do this again, and finally Spider does something interesting. Well, a little bit early in the fight, he had started smashing controls on the boat, right?
Yeah. So at which point they were like, "Quick, grab him!" Which I'm like, "Shoot him!" Also,
why wasn't he already restrained? You knew he was an enemy agent the entire time. He didn't even pretend to be loyal to Quartz.
Also, a quick question: why was he not wearing pants or a shirt?
He didn't feel like it. No one forced him, I guess.
They forced him to go and serve as an interpreter to people they were holding at gunpoint, but they didn't force him to wear pants.
Yeah, they were busy, ran out of pants. I have no idea.
Okay.
Misplaced his pants.
That's a minor thing in the grand scheme of things, but still distracting, when it's like,
right.
Okay, so we have, the world's least giving a shit marine biologist, and standing next to him is Tarzan, Lord of Apes.
But actually, what he did, though, is he was on the control, they call it the bridge, and he runs out when his siblings are getting captured for the second time in this movie.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, kid, stop that," and they drag him back. And you think at this point they'd cuff him to something, right? And then he breaks the thing or fiddles with the cuffs or something, and therefore gets the jump on them and starts smashing shit. But no, he is left completely unrestrained in the bridge until he happens to get the idea for smashing shit, and then they decide to do something about it. And he's already demonstrated he's not on their side.
And it's still just restraining instead of shooting him.
And that too. I kind of want to give a little bit of credit to I guess whalers are not as bastardly as Quartz is, but I don't want to give credit to anything at this point. So we do the thing, but so then something kind of interesting happens. The second interesting thing Spider's done this whole film, in which we get a standoff where Quartz is threatening the Vision Girl again. But the point is, at the same time, Neytiri is threatening Spider, and it's so Neytiri is tempted into racism and shit, and is willing to put this kid's life on the line, or at least it puts out the appearance of that. And then the kid himself is probably thinking, is Neytiri willing to kill me, or is this a ploy, or is this we're testing the family bonds and stuff now? And they do a great fake out where she slits 1 millimeter into his throat, and I thought she had actually killed him for a second.
I thought she had too.
Yeah, no, it was just a display or something. Okay, fine.
Well, given that she's not really familiar with human biology, that is a really risky as fuck gambit.
That is actually. Unfortunately, though, although this is a cool idea in theory, there's not been enough build-up between, say, the relationship between Neytiri and Spider, which was just like a one-off mention at the beginning, or the relationship between Quaritch and Sun, who has been there, but like, have they been bonding?
They've been bonding a little bit, but
not enough to make this moment work.
But the problem is that Quaritch has been in so few scenes in this movie that he doesn't really have enough screen time with Spider to do a thing, you know?
Yeah. I'm not sure Spider needed to have been, like, raised by Na'vi as a plot point. Could he have just been raised by humans in the first place? And is, like, loyal to his dad by default? And I know this would be, like, totally replaying Jake's journey from the first movie, so that's kind of dumb. But at least I could see what the arc was in that case. So Quaritch gives up on threatening Vision Girl, and Spider does not die. But then Quaritch is like, I'm going to go kill your family. And Jake's like, all right, let's do a more action scene.
And it's another fight between... It's a fight in the dark between two blue people wearing pouches. I'm sorry, I completely lost interest in this because I could barely tell what was going on. Also, the boat was sinking. Also,
if you kill Quaritch, you already know he's coming back again.
Yeah, because you can just print out an infinite army of him.
Right, so there's no stakes. There's no chance of victory anyway.
Just a temporary victory, which I guess was kind of the point of the first Avatar as well, because you weren't going to stop humanity by beating them once. We kind of outnumber you 1,000,000 to 1, and we can drop rods from God on you until you stop twitching.
Yeah. Once again, the fridge logic becomes fridgier once we've had a second movie to think about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
that was pretty obvious even from the original film, but whatever. The point is, okay, what does the general think of this? She was last seen at, like, the first hour mark, and she hasn't shown up since.
Yeah, there's no contact at all. I have no idea anything.
Probably sitting on, like, time travel technology or something else that would radically redefine the world.
So Jake wins the fight by choking out Quaritch, but then he swims away. It turns out Quaritch isn't dead. Spider ends up saving him, but also kind of hates him because we're saving that for this next film. Then Jake has a moment with younger Sun where for some reason Jake doesn't feel like he can hold his breath long enough to escape.
Okay, he was drowning like 3 seconds earlier, so...
Yeah, but like they all had the training montage. They've all been living in the village the same amount of time where they learn how to hold their breath and stuff. So like, you know what I'm saying?
Part of it is that you need to be calm to do it, and he just watched his son die, so...
Yeah, but the other guy watched his brother die. I guess the idea they're trying to do is like this, the younger son is, you know, shows his maturity and guides his dad through a crisis where previously his dad had to bail him out of crises. And I get that in theory, but I don't think it was developed the way it should have been. Or also, this whole scene was just too long by that point.
Okay, admittedly, the movie fatigue was setting in at this point, so
yeah.
We're a lot less forgiving.
Yeah, so he, like, saves his dad at the same time. Vision Girl saves her mom and sister with glowy fish, because she can do that.
Well, at least that was foreshadowed.
It was foreshadowed, but, like, let's maybe delve into implications and stuff there, or you know, if we're gonna do this technology versus magic thing, you could have a bit where somebody's character flaw was relying too much on technology, and she ends up embracing the magic or something. You know, there's a lot of elements that, like, in theory, this could have been a grand climax. Like, she could have been the main character, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
There was too many threads.
But that goes for the rest of the movie. There are so many things that could have just been a movie in and of itself, and then it had to get shoved into this.
So then they all get away, yay! Except for obviously the one son who died.
And then they
have his funeral, and Jake says to the Sea Chief, "Okay, we're leaving now to not threaten your people anymore." And Sea Chief is like, but your son died amongst our warriors, and so you are one of us now.
Wait, wasn't that But that was the same argument they had in the... Jake, you fucking moron. you were part of the forest people earlier, and you still ran away, and that didn't solve shit, because the military still came after you.
Right. I'm just imagining a series of sequels now where he just keeps running to different locations and, like, eventually just screws over all the Na'vi on the planet because he's a magnet for terror. Okay, but, like, but then Jake he says, like, oh, okay, so I get it. Like, we're sea people now. I'm sorry, did you abandon the forest people?
Yeah.
Like, are you not a forest person anymore? Because you didn't leave them because you hated them. You left them to, like, protect them. Are you just... Is he a sea person and a forest person? Is that the idea? Because it seemed like to me like he was switching citizenship. And I'm abandoning that old shit, even though those are great people.
Yeah, why don't you just, like... I don't know.
Right. So we're sea people now, and he's like, all right, I've learned my lesson. I'm no longer running from the enemy. This will be our fortress. This is where we make our stand.
Really? Because you have a really shit fortress, because you were threatened by whalers. Fucking whalers. You know, at least in the first movie, the bad guys were, you know, the military who had tanks and, like, power armor and rocket launchers and shit.
Right.
But these guys weren't even meant to fight against, like, an actual opponent. They're meant to shoot something that beaches itself.
Right, and also, if this is where you make your stand, good for you, Jake. The forest people are still going to die.
Yeah, they're absolutely going to die.
Because they're way closer to that city that's expanding at a rapid rate and all that shit.
Yeah.
So, really, it feels like this whole thing was a filler episode.
Oh, God damn it. It is. It's a fucking filler episode.
Right?
I mean, no, it's not a filler episode. Okay.
But it's something of that flavor. Like, I've decided I should go do the thing I was already doing at the end of the first film. Like, I've restored back to the status quo in certain ways. Right? The villain is back.
But he's living in, like, a new place now, so you can say that...
But it wasn't worth that much narrative energy to get him off to that new place.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what makes it feel like filler. Like, we spent that much time...
Okay, but stuff did change, so, you know, you can say that the status quo is different. So it wasn't filler.
No, but it feels like it somehow.
Okay, it's like it's setting up a new status quo, then.
Yeah. It feels like...
But it still feels empty.
It feels like you could have taken the intro to Avatar 2 and welded it on to Avatar 3. Like, once you've established that Quaritch is alive again, do you need anything else from the rest of Avatar 2? I don't know yet. I haven't seen Avatar 3. But it seems...
Because it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, right. But it feels like it's going to end up in a situation where almost all of these events can be ignored. So long as Jake has some kids and Quaritch is alive again.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get
See
what
what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And I feel like it was written that way because he was trying to stretch out a story across more movies than it logically needed to be.
Fair enough. And if I sound like I'm tired, it's because I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost as if watching a 3-hour movie was exhausting. And watching a 3-hour movie that had this many problems with it.
Right. Like, compared to Lord of the Rings again, that felt very coherent.
Yeah.
Right? There was a lot of characters, but I knew each one of their personalities. The decisions they made sense for them to do. Everything was epic, but not just, like, for the sake of it.
And you know what? Despite, you know, we joke about and are serious about the fact that we have trouble remembering people's names. We can remember people's names from Lord of the fucking Rings.
Yeah.
Even though they have a character named Saruman and Sauron.
Yes. I gotta watch, like, Fellowship again now just to compare it. Be like, look at all this
no.
proper construction of storytelling.
No. I'm not watching Lord of the Rings again.
Okay, well,
Look, Lord of the Rings is great, but it's one of those ones where I watched it once, and that was still a very long movie.
Okay.
I do not want to see it again because it was so long.
You split it up into multiple days, though, if you want.
Okay, that's fair enough, but, you know.
Yeah, especially with the DVDs, it's like 2 discs per movie, so you have to split it up. Also, yeah, Rings of Power, the new thing, not that great. I saw a few episodes, and it feels epic at first, and then it feels like, wait, there's a lot of coincidences happening here. There's a lot of, you know, just, no, the structure isn't there the way it should be.
Yeah, but look, this movie had so much promise, but they shoved in so many things without thinking about them.
Yeah.
You have 2 methods of immortality.
Okay. How you want to go? How we would fix it briefly? I mean, like.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay, so first off, no Quaritch. You won't need a villain. Just give me some other guy in the military, possibly his friend or his brother or whoever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Easy enough. No immortality. And that guy can still, like, have logs that Quaritch recorded, right? If you need him to know things that Quaritch knew and whatever. He could find Quaritch's corpse and, like, kind of get weepy about it, actually. Like, this is his friend or something. Mm-hmm. You could give a more nuanced, humanized villain and make that interesting. We could cut out the whales entirely.
Oh, yeah.
Or whalers, anyway.
Could cut out the whalers.
I don't know if I would take it to the sea people at all. You just keep it in the forest. We have that already. But, like, if we wanted to take it to sea people, then we would do personal revenge quest, going AWOL thing on part of the villain, perhaps. Yeah. Right? And it's the kind of we were exploring obsession, revenge, kind of a Moby Dick kind of deal without Khan, right? You know, he could take. It's cool when a villain makes a moral argument. So he could be like, "Look, Jake, you fucked up our colonization plans. Do you remember how Earth is dying and there's millions of innocent people there?
Billions.
Billions, that's right, of innocent people there that need to, like, go somewhere." And you can imagine making him a speech and, like, Jake kind of having a chink in his armor then be like, "Oh shit, you know, like, you're right, I did strand a bunch of innocent people back on Earth." And that could complicate his relationships with his family, with Spider, if he's still in here. Like, he's a kid of Earth who in theory would have gone back, you know? In fact, don't even necessarily make it you can't put babies in cryo. Make it like, we didn't have enough unobtainium to send you. Right? Because you shut down the goddamn mine, Jake. And I don't want Jake to be like a villain. Like everything he did in the first movie was wrong. But like his character arc could be like developing a more nuanced perspective on this. Right? Yeah. Which incidentally, there were plenty of folks in Europe back in the day in like squalid conditions who came to America because there was fresh air and shit. And that doesn't excuse genocide, but I can understand a more mild version of this where, like, we need some place to live and Europe sucks right now. We just had a plagues or whatever. I mean, it was a couple centuries ago. But, like, the idea was there was more opportunity here, and can we share the land? And you could have Jake feeling like, no, it's impossible to share the land because humans are all bastards. I know, I used to be one. And Jake is, like, kind of anti-human racist a little bit and has to learn, like, no, there are other Earthlings. Like, obviously, he has a few scientists on his side, but, like, there's also, like, strangers you can make friends with, you know? He helps set up a colony by the end that's not under the military domain, but there's, like, a separate thing, you know? You could play him as, ultimately, he has to be not just a warrior, but a peacemaker, right? There's some people that need to die, but maybe the new villain, he actually makes peace with that guy. Maybe they put down their guns in the end and be like, okay, I kind of hate you a lot, but for the good of humanity, we can do this other path. And that would really be a change in the status quo that flows from the premises, right? Then you could have Jake, like, facing his own anti-human bias because he's trained some of his kids this way, and so some of them are, like, too bloodthirsty against humans, and he has to be like, no, wait, I didn't mean it quite that bad. Like, there's just a few sketches. You could easily build on that. And if he's going to leave his people, you know, it's, he has some other, just give him a ritual reason to go out there. It's a thing that the Na'vi do. Every so often they send pilgrims to other tribes. And he's already on his way when, like, gets pursued unexpectedly by military forces. Mm-hmm. Right? And they don't have a whole fucking city. They just landed, like, one ship. They're hoping to build a city. That'll be built by next movie. Right? That's your background thing. Mm-hmm. And so, okay, we have, like, the one ship with the guy who came early because he really wants revenge for the death of Quaritch. And everything adds up way back. This took us like an hour and 20 minutes, so we have better ideas than James Cameron and all this.
Yeah.
What? I still don't know how this happens. So that's that, basically.
I mean, I still kind of liked it.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst movie, but it was a disappointment.
Yeah. I'm probably going to see Avatar 3 anyway.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't so bad that I'd make it.
No, yeah, I'll probably see Avatar 3 eventually, but, like, I might just end up seeing it on home release.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad.
Like, I'm not sad that we missed out on IMAX today. Like, it would have looked pretty, but it would have been, like, still a slog by the end.
Oh, yeah. Especially since we would be in the second.
Yeah, all the other seats are reserved. Like, second row.
Yeah, we tried that with Last Jedi, and that was pain. That was actual pain. I had a headache the next day, and my neck hurt.
Was that Last Jedi was IMAX, or was it one of the other ones?
Last Jedi, we had to sneak into the aisle because we were in the nosebleed section.
Okay. Anyway.
Because I remember the Finn versus Kylo fight.
Okay.
From the aisles.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess that's all of our thoughts on Avatar.
Specifically the blue space people Avatar.
Yeah, no.
We'll let you know if there's another Avatar series one of these days.
Well, actually, there is a book out.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, for the air.
Atla. Let's call it Atla.
ATLA.
Yeah.
Yeah, about Kyoshi.
Okay.
Avatar Kyoshi.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. I that is all I know about it, actually. So I have exhausted my sum total knowledge of that topic.
Good to know.
Okay, so anyways, if we're done here, then I guess I'm Sith King.
I'm Sonic Sans.
Have a happy New Year.
Happy New Year, signing off.